Hi, this is Don McAllister and welcome to another ScreenCastsOnline weekly tip video. In last week's tip video, we had a look at setting up local rules on Apple Mail. If I go across to Apple Mail and if I say Mail Preferences, you'll see we set up one move to Twitter mailbox and one to both move a mail to a mailbox and also to forward onto somebody else. Now these are great, but they will only work on your Mac when your Mac is powered up and when you have mail running. So these are local mail rules. Now it doesn't really help if you have an iPad or an iPhone, these rules won't apply. Also, if you have multiple Macs, the rules won't synchronize between the different Macs. So you will have to copy these rules, or rather set up these rules on all of your Macs. But there is a better way to do it. Let me go ahead and close this down. What we need to do is go across to iCloud.com. So if I get Safari going and log into iCloud.com. Now I have 1Password installed, so I'll do Command/ to log me into iCloud. I'll say keep me signed in and click on the little arrow. Now I have got two-factor authentication set up on my Mac, but I've already authenticated this particular browser session with that, so that's let me straight in. What I need to do now is go across to Mail. And then within Mail, you'll see down here at the bottom, we have this little Actions menu. Before I select that though, let's move some more things around. Let's say this Riedel team, let's see who this is from. Let's go ahead and create a new folder, or rather a new mailbox called Riedel. And we'll set up a server-based rule to manage our emails that come in from that particular address. So show Actions menu, click on Rules. Now there is already a rule I've set up before. This is a real rule that I use centrally so that when I purchase anything from Apple using my SCO demo account, the purchases get forwarded to my personal email so I can sort of claim those back against my business. But I'm going to add a new rule. Again, I've got an email highlighted, so it's already picked up, in fact, who it's from. So is from team@riedelnews.com. You can say is addressed to, is CC'd to, etc., etc. But we'll leave that. Then move to a folder, or I can move to trash, forward to, mark as read. Move to trash can be quite good. If you have a particularly nasty subscription to a newsletter that you can't seem to unsubscribe from, which although is illegal, does still happen, you can set up a rule so that anything coming in from that newsletter can go straight to trash and you can ignore it. But what we will do is we'll carry on with moving to a folder. Choose the folder. So we have the Riedel folder here, and we'll say done. Okay, if I want to edit this now, I can click on here and I can edit it or delete it, but we'll say cancel. I can rearrange my rules as well, so I can move this above the first rule because it will process rules from the top down. But that seems okay. So rules are applied as messages arrive. Only the first matching rule will be applied per message. It may take a few minutes for changes to rules to take effect, which is all good. We'll say done. Now, in this case, it won't run the rule. So we will have to wait now for the next Riedel message to come in. But when that does come in, it will automatically be passed across to the Riedel mailbox. Now, what would be a good idea would be to replicate the rules that I'd set up on the Mac last week into iCloud.com, and then they will be processed centrally and be applied both to my Mac and also to the iPad and the iPhone. Now, before we take a look at it on the iPad, let me go ahead and create a rule that I can control and send something across. So let's create another mailbox or folder, as it says here. Let's call this bonus. Let's say I'm waiting patiently for someone to send me some information about bonus payments or something. We'll go down to here. We'll say rules. We will say add a rule. We'll say has subject containing bonus, and then move to a folder. One thing you might notice as well from last week is that you can't set multiple actions. You can only do one actions, although some actions do contain multiple actions. But we'll just say move to folder, choose a folder, and we'll put it in our bonus folder. And we'll say done. Okay, I'll close this down now. We'll say done. And what we will do now is I'll go across to the iPad so you can see how it looks on the iPad, and then I'll send an email across with the word bonus in the subject. And we should, on the iPad, see it be moved automatically by the server-based rule into the bonus folder. Now, one thing you can't do on your iPad or any iOS device is to go across to iCloud.com to configure the rules centrally. So you would have to have access to a browser on a Mac or a PC. So if you're purely iOS based, that might be a problem for you, but I'm sure everybody has access to a PC or a Mac these days, if not permanently, just temporarily, to set up those particular rules. But the rules are set up centrally, as you saw before. If I go across to Mail, and if I go to my mailboxes, we should see those mailboxes. Yep, there we go. There's my bonus mailbox with nothing in it. I've also got the Riedel sent to Don, starred, and Twitter notifications, so they should be, and to synchronize as yet, there's my Twitter notifications from the Mac. Okay, let me go across to another machine, and I'll send an email directly across to here. Right, so that's now gone from my other Mac. It's been delivered to iCloud, Apple's central servers. The rules should process on those central servers, and it should appear within my bonus mailbox. So if I go to mailboxes, and there we go already. You can see the number 1 next to bonus. If I go in there, there is my bonus news in the subject. Congratulations, you've been awarded a bonus of 1 Bitcoin. So you can have mail rules within Apple Mail on iOS, but you do need to set them up centrally on iCloud.com. If you want to learn more about using your Apple devices, there are over 700 full video tutorials available to ScreenCastsOnline members, covering all aspects of the Mac, iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and even the Apple TV. Now, all full members receive a new Apple-related video tutorial each and every week, as well as a free subscription to the ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine, packed with videos and articles on getting the most out of your Apple devices. Now, you can get your free 14-day trial membership over at ScreenCastsOnline.com, or check out some of the free content over on the SCO Showcase app on the iPad, iPhone, and Apple TV. That's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another tip, so I'll speak to you then.